have your attention, please?
You're listening to Tales from the Tannoy with Elinor Hamilton.
Welcome. If you've ever heard a voice on the radio or on your SatNav or announcing the train, the chances are that you've shouted at that voice more than once. But it's likely that the voice inside the object that you're shouting at is actually the voice of a real live person. Or perhaps they're not alive anymore. My voice announces the trains on the London Underground.
Jubilee line, the next train to Stanmore will arrive in 1 minute.
And I'm heard alongside my husband, Phil Sayer.
Mind the gap.
Who actually died in 2016, but he's still working with me, which is nice. In every episode of Tales from the Tannoy, I talk to a famous voice that you'll almost certainly know, but not know. The likelihood is they'll be a huge part of your life without you ever knowing their name. But like all of us, they have a past and a story to tell. If you've ever done your shopping at Morrison's, you'll almost certainly have rolled your eyes at this lady at the automated checkouts.
Unexpected item in the bagging area.
I know I've sworn at her on several occasions. If she's not the bearer of enough bad news already, you may even have heard her dishing out coronavirus info on the NHS 111 phone line.
You can get help from 111 online, including advice about coronavirus and cold and flu symptoms.
Posy Brewer. You're always following me around, and although you drive me nuts at the checkout, I know it's not actually your fault, and in fact, you've had quite a few struggles over the years. So I guess the best place to start is at the beginning, at childhood, because your parents were a little bit unconventional, weren't they?
God, where do we start? Childhood. Yeah, I'm from a family of 4, but my sister is actually my half-sister because she's from my mum's previous marriage. Mm-hmm. I come from a really interesting background because my mum was the first flake girl.
Oh, wow.
Cadbury's flake. So she was a model. She's got amazing, beautiful, long legs. Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened to mine, but I certainly didn't inherit them. So I was very pissed off about that. My mum, I'm like, what happened to me and my sister? We got the stumps. Funnily enough, my daughter actually has the same legs as my mum. So it's
wow.
Yes.
You might be making some money out of her later.
Yeah, exactly. I might start selling her on the streets, you know.
Maybe don't feed her flakes, though.
Yeah. She likes whispers. So, you know, it might be a whisper one.
Right.
Yeah, so anyway, so my mum was the first flake girl and she did very, very big in the 60s and she never did the catwalk because she didn't like doing that. It was all printing and things like that. And but she was equivalent to like Twiggy.
Wow.
At the time. And she did like Black Magic chocolates, McLean's toothpaste, and she was stunning. And she went out with David Cassidy.
Wow.
So, yeah, and they used to come and photograph them at the airport and things like that. And my sister was very young at the time because my mum obviously split up with her husband at the time and then went out with David Cassidy.
That wasn't David. I was going to say that.
No,
so
no.
Your sister isn't David Cassidy's daughter.
No.
That would have been exciting.
Yeah, it would have been, wouldn't it? Yeah, so Mum used to hang around with Rolling Stones and lots of big names and big people. And then my dad owned a big film production company, distribution called Avatar. Right. And that, again, was huge in the 80s and 90s. And there was one particular film that a lot of people know about. It's called Porky's. Right. Which is, yeah.
I don't think I've heard of that.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think a lot of old...
Dodgy.
Yeah. I think it is. No, my dad, it probably is. Oh, sorry. Shouldn't say that, Dad. Sorry. So he was a big company and we used to spend a lot of time in LA. So he had a house over there in Sunset Boulevard and we used to go there every holiday because he was obviously working. So we'd go over there and it was amazing childhood. You get picked up in limousines and, you know, all these things. And, you know, you had these swimming pools overlooking the Hollywood Hills and massive big houses. Bit like, you know, Jennifer Aniston's got or you know, I don't know why she came into my head, but somebody like that. Yeah. So, it was great. I was very lucky and we had a massive house here in the UK, a beautiful grade 2 listed building. So I had an amazing childhood and then my dad went off with a certain other woman. And basically from then on we just lost it all and we ended up losing our house and obviously the house in America and completely lost absolutely everything.
Wow. Why was that? Was it a difficult divorce, or was he not paying his bills?
Well, no, I think my dad's, and I don't mind saying this, but my dad's, love him as he is, but he's not very good with money. And he just overspent what he had. And unfortunately, things then just started to change, and it all got taken away. So you'd have bailiffs on the door. And I remember going into supermarkets, go and do the weekly shop, and Safeways. It was Safeways at the time. Yeah. And I remember getting to checkout, and you know how as a kid you always, and I don't know if your kids do it, but my kids still do it, put loads of like chocolate biscuits in and try and ram it, and you're like, oh my gosh, you end up spending like 150 quid as opposed to, if you didn't go with them, you probably spend about
just
50.
Popped in for a loaf of bread.
yeah, exactly, yeah, and a pint of milk.
Yeah.
It was always really embarrassing because the card was always taken away. You'd hand over the card and it would just get declined. And it was really embarrassing because in that time, the manager or assistant would have to come over and cut it up in front of you.
Oh, God.
So it was always just really embarrassing.
And that's a major fall from grace as well, isn't it? Because if you've grown up sort of having a swimming pool overlooking the Hollywood Hills and stuff, and then all of a sudden you're having your card cut up at Safeway, those things have happened to a lot of people. And in some ways you've been really privileged to have had that start. But at the same time, that wasn't your reality. It wasn't what you were used to. And all of a sudden this huge fall from grace must have been awful.
Huge, yeah, it was. And things like, the bills weren't being paid. You'd get bailiffs coming to the door and my mum having to deal with that, and horrendous times. And it went on for years because my mum, bless her heart, she always wanted to keep the family together as much as possible and keep the unit together. And looking back, I wish she hadn't. I wish she'd stopped a lot earlier. But so it kind of dragged on and dragged on, and it affected all of us a lot for years and years. And it was only until I was 17 that's when my parents actually officially divorced. So that horrible. So I've literally gone from having all this amazing thing, which, right now I'd be like, oh, wow.
It's
I could just
what everybody
sit across,
dreams of, isn't it?
Hollywood Hills. Yeah. Swimming, in the sunshine, and be able to give that to my kids. But obviously, and then, falling, crashing down. But it's made me who I am now. Do you know what I mean? So it's a good thing, because that's why I think I can relate to a lot of people. I can understand and relate to people who have a lot of money and that kind of social world. Yeah. But I also can relate to the people who have absolutely nothing. So it's been a good learning life lesson.
It's hard, isn't it? Because obviously you would never have wanted to have lost it. But what kind of person do you think you'd have been had everything just carried on? If it carried on as in being amazing and fantastic. If you still had money falling out of your pockets and the reason I ask that is because I think sometimes when we've been through trauma, even though it's horrible, you come out the other end and you go, actually, I'd rather be me now. Yeah. And you wouldn't have been anybody, you wouldn't have been that person if you'd have had a charmed life.
Do you know what? I think that's a really difficult question, because I think I'd have probably more of an attitude in the sense of probably just not as sensitive and empathetic and open as a person, really, I think, more than anything. Because I also, when I was 11, I got diabetes, type 1 diabetes. Right. And
that's the one you really don't want, isn't it? If you could choose a kind of diabetes.
You don't want to bloody any of it.
No.
But so that hit me hard as well. I mean, I was a really plump child. And I think this had also a lot to do with what was going on around me with my mum and my dad and things, because I'm a true believer that stress can actually cause illnesses.
Oh, God.
And there's been lots of books. And
in my mind,
And I think also with being at age 11, it's when all the hormones, were going and things like that, getting bigger boobies and other things that you get. I put on quite a bit of weight, but I lost 1.5 stone within a week.
Wow.
I was just like, I couldn't get out of bed, I couldn't climb stairs, and I was so thirsty, and I just wanted to drink. And so Mum would be giving me Ribena.
Right.
Which at the time, diabetes wasn't well known at that time. Do you know what I mean? And so I would just be like drinking more and more, which obviously was full of sugar, which was making my blood sugars go up and up and up and up and up. And I didn't want to go to the doctor. I was like, no, leave me alone, kind of thing. So anyway, she had had enough because she said, you're just spending too much money on drinks and things like that and stuff. So she dragged me to the doctors, and then they said, right, yeah, you've got to go to the hospital straight away. And that's made me look at life very differently as well. I'm very much a person who, I don't like people knowing that I'm diabetic. It's funny enough, in the last few years, probably about 10 years, I've been more open about it. Yeah. But when I was in my 20s and in my teens, I didn't talk about it because I didn't want to be treated differently. Yeah. I'm a normal person because I find sometimes when you have an illness or a condition, not everyone, of course, but some people treat you differently, And then again, that has made, I think, issues with me being a bit of a control freak in some areas,
So talking of not being balanced in any way, you've struggled with your mental health on top of all of that stuff, haven't you? Which isn't really surprising because a lot of us who've had the childhoods where they've had so much change going on that was completely beyond their control, a lot of people find that is the trigger for a lot of depression, and that's something that you've struggled with, isn't it? Yeah,
I don't really openly speak about it too much, but again, over the last, I suppose, 5 years, I've kind of opened up a lot more. But yeah, I suffered from depression really badly in 2010. Right. It was horrible. I got married in 2008, and that was lovely, and still married to the same man, even though I want to kill him sometimes.
Well, obviously.
But got married, and I think, I don't know, something happened after about a year. It just started building up, and a lot of depression and anxiety, and being an actor. And I think going to auditions and either not getting them or, getting constantly rejected, you kind of, it's soul destroying. Yeah. It's absolutely soul destroying. And you keep pushing and pushing and keep going. And then, I don't know, something just triggers. And I spent a long time just not wanting to be here. And it got really, really bad. I remember when my hubby would come back from work and he would find me in the floor upstairs and just in a ball of wet from me crying because all I wanted was the whole floor to just swallow me up. Yeah. The carpet to just swallow me up and take me away. I thought about killing myself and things like that, but I just couldn't do it to my family, and that's what stopped me. Yeah. But it then got to the point where Mark was like, right, that's my husband, you need to get some help. And so that's when I went to the doctors and I got put on antidepressants, and I went to see a psychiatrist and counselling and, all that thing, and then did CBT, but just didn't work. And it went on for a bit.
And that's the problem with psychiatric help, isn't it? You can't always just find that one thing. No. There's no one cure.
No, exactly.
And it's horrendous. And when you're going through it, and it's like somebody saying, well, your leg's on fire, that might put it out, but it might be in 6 months. But, let's keep trying to throw things at it, and this petrol might help, but let's give it a go. And you can't possibly find the right thing.
It's weird because it's such a strange thing. And I'm so pleased that now mental health's talked about more, and I'm really pleased about it and that's why I probably am opened up a bit more now. But, when I used to go to, you go to a psychiatric ward and you saw people who were really, really just not in this world kind of thing. Yeah. And you think, why am I here? There's nothing wrong with me, but there is, but it's just of a different level and a different stage, and we all have our own shit. And I've just picked up on the point that you mentioned about there's things work differently for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, not one thing is right for everyone. And that's what I found with CBT, because it was the thing to do. You know, CBT works for everyone. And I remember going and doing all the sessions, and it was just like, I was like, what is this bollocks? You know, and for me, it just didn't work, and it made me really angry. Actually, it almost made it worse. And then I happened to actually go out for lunch with my aunt, and she said, "Do you know what? I think you should go on the Hoffman process." And I was like, "You know, what's that?" And she basically. And I was an actor, or I still am an actor, but at the time, you know, things weren't great financially. I was working in an estate agents as a sales and lettings negotiator, and, you know, things, you know.
As
and
most actors are, or waitressing.
And obviously still going to auditions and things. So money was tight, and I've very blessed because she actually paid for it, or should I say about 80% of it for me as a gift. But she made me pay some of it, which I'm really glad she did, because it committed me, you know, to doing it. Because I do have issues around money, you know, because of, and obviously because of the childhood and things like that, you know, once having lots of money and then having nothing, and, you know.
Does it make you a bit protective of the money that you have?
Yeah.
And I don't mean selfish, but, you know,
I think it does, but I'm always worried about it. I'm like, oh God, how much is that costing? Oh God, I have a real, you know, and it's a pattern that I have, that I constantly deal with, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff under the carpet for that. So, if that's an expression, I'm not very good with my expressions.
We're all complex, aren't we? God, you know.
Yeah. So where was I? So the Hoffman process, and it was the best thing I did in my life. And it was the best money I've ever spent. It saved my life, I think, personally.
Right.
And that was right for me. And it was a week away, not like a retreat, because you go away, you're not allowed to see anybody, and you're in a group of people, and obviously all contact with the outside world is essentially, you're not allowed it, it's forbidden. Right. And you go away and you look at yourself and patterns from your parents, and you learn about how you act and how your shit, should I say, comes from.
Right.
And it teaches you to love yourself and go back to the core of you. And you don't come fixed like this, you know, come out as magic new person, because you are, these patterns are ingrained in you, and you have to deal with them on a daily basis. But it gives you the tools to adapt and live a better and fulfilling life. And that saved my life. And obviously taking antidepressants as well, which has been really hard, actually, because I'll admit I'm still on them. Yeah. But I've always been desperate to get off them, and every time I've tried to come off them, I've not been able to, because either because of when I fell pregnant with my son. They were like, no, we don't want you coming off them, because in case, you know. Yeah,
and things, hormones go wild anyway when you're pregnant, don't they? So
so they didn't want me to go on. So I was like, oh, for God's sake. And then they were like, no, let's just stay on for another 6 months. I was like, okay. And then blooming well fell pregnant with my youngest, Skylar. So I was like, and I made the decision.
Clearly making you and your husband happy.
Jesus Christ, I'm going to take another bloody pill. I always used to, when my mum was young, you know, when she was a younger lady, or when, you know, I was a little girl, I was just like, why are you taking so many blooming pills, Mum? You know, like vitamin C, vitamin D, you know, fish oils and all that, you know. And she would just take the massive handful of pills. And I was just like, oh my God, what are you doing? Yeah. And then roll on 30 odd years later, I'm doing exactly the same. Yeah. Like,
There's still a stigma attached to antidepressants in some ways, but there shouldn't be. Most people take a drug of some sort every day to get them through some problem that they've got. I take tamoxifen every day because that keeps my breast cancer at bay. People take statins, or they take an aspirin, or whatever they take. You know, who cares?
But that's understood. People kind of understand that because of the condition. You know, it's like insulin for me for diabetes. But when it comes to antidepressants, there's such a thing, oh, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you.
You're mental.
You're mental.
Yeah.
You're mental. You're just not right. As I said earlier, things have changed, and we are more aware of the mental health. And I'm really pleased about that.
Yeah, me too.
But there's still a long way to go. But that's one thing I'd like to come off them. But I think you do. I did come off them, and then things went really crappy again.
Yeah.
And then, so I started back, and I was really depressed about going back on them because I was like, I don't want to rely on something. I don't want to rely on something like that.
Yeah, but you rely on your
but
insulin.
It's just a chemical imbalance, really, isn't it?
I think it could be. I mean, you rely on your insulin, don't you? So why would you not rely on something else? It is.
You're making it sound all right. Yeah,
well, it is okay. I mean, I genuinely believe that. And because mental health is something that isn't just an easy fix, and everybody's mental health is triggered by something that's happened. Sometimes it's a hormone imbalance or a chemical imbalance. Sometimes it's just that you've had a really shit time for whatever reason. And we can't always access those things straight away unless you can kind of take out that drawer that's all messed up, take everything out, fold it up and put it back neatly. In the meantime, take some pills. True, yeah. Just take some pills. Just take drugs, guys. Dr. Ellie prescribes pills.
Oh, yeah. No, cut that bit out.
And wine. Well, we all have our own thing, don't we? And especially during lockdown, during coronavirus, everybody's an alcoholic, Yeah,
but I think during this whole lockdown thing that people are being made aware of their mental health. And I think the people who had a kind of a stigma against it and thinking, no, I'm fine, I don't have mental health, have actually now kind of suddenly stopped their work or and actually had time to reflect and go, actually, do you know what? I wasn't right. I need to change some things in my life or, and maybe my head isn't in the right place. And it's really actually, so I kind of think in a way, a positive thing that's come out of this. And that's been really a nice thing to see. Yeah. And people to start loving nature more as well. That's been
all
really
of a sudden
lovely.
The entire world wants to get out and about and check out the local beauty spots that they'd hitherto ignored. The thing is that life has become better for you over the last few years because obviously you got married, you had your children, your voiceover business has become a roaring success, not particularly popular with me when I'm doing my shopping at Morrison's around the corner and you tell me to put my item in the bag when it's in the fucking bag. But on the whole, you're busy, you're successful. Yeah. How have the last few years been? Are you on a more even keel or have you had moments of slipping back down the greasy pole? Or I think that's a term.
We're back down that greasy pole, are we?
Tell me more about your greasy pole.
Start talking like that. Hello. Yes, obviously things were good and I've been very fortunate because with my voiceover stuff because I'm a trained actor. I went to the Oxford School of Drama for 3 years and I came out of drama school and obviously I did done bits, films, bits of TV, bits of theatre. Yeah. But most of my work, my first gig out of drama school was actually animation, playing a 17-year-old sci-fi girl in space. And it was random. And then I did a couple of theatre stuff. And then I went and did radio drama, which was amazing. And I still remember walking across Waterloo Bridge and just feeling it was the best thing I'd ever done because I'd only been out of drama school I think like 4 or 5 months and it was amazing. I've just been very fortunate and it was my husband actually who kind of got me into building my own studio because 20 odd years later it's still going and when I had kids that's when I stopped really doing any acting jobs because I put on a lot of weight. I ate lots of pies when I was first pregnant with my first son and put on 4 stone.
Great.
So lots
pies
of pies.
Do that.
Yeah, I just carbs. I just wanted to eat loads of carbs, and every night I had to have like a jammy Dodger and a glass of milk. And
You
so
know
I put
how
on
to live.
yeah, I'm rocking it. I can't have my wine, so I'm going to have my glass of milk and a jammy dodger.
Living the dream.
Living the dream. And then, I lost a bit of weight, but I lost my confidence. But then it got to the stage where I was losing myself again, and everything was getting too much. And that's when I actually went back and did the Hoffman process for a second time. When I first did it, you weren't allowed to do it twice. You were only ever allowed to do it once. But then they changed the rules a few years ago, and I got an opportunity to do that. So in 2019, last year.
Right.
I'm trying to remember what year we're in. I'm trying to remember what day it is, do you know what I mean? Let alone the year. And I went and did that for a week. And that was very, very, again, very interesting. But yeah, I'm in a much better place now and things are great. But I'm going down a different direction now. I'm still obviously doing my voiceovers and I love that. And I have my studio here. Yeah. But I'm really passionate about mental health and emotional health. And so I have a couple of things in the pipeline. And one is a video VR game that deals with emotions. And especially since my little boy has really struggled. When he was 3, he could hardly say any words. And he had speech therapy and everything like that. And I mean, you wouldn't think
I was going to say, the child of a voiceover should really be able to get in that studio. Come on.
But I was like, what the? So he had to go and have speech therapy and things like that. And one of the things was that he finds it really hard to express himself, his emotions. And so he would become very frustrated because he couldn't get it out. Yeah. And one of the things, because he couldn't speak, he didn't have many words that he could actually say. Yeah. And so it's all kind of stemmed from him, actually.
But the fact is that your son, through his difficulties, has inspired you to do something, which has also been inspired by your own difficulties, which probably wouldn't have happened had you not lost everything.
Had I not lost everything. Yeah, exactly. So it all kind of like, adds up.
It does.
And then, so I'm in a much better place now. And because as I said, it really affected me a couple of years ago and I got bad again and I had to remove myself away from a lot of things. Yeah. Especially social and media. Yeah. And
I think social media, you can only cope with it when you're in a good place anyway. Or you're using it in order to make yourself feel better by putting things on that aren't necessarily the full truth. The truth. You know?
Yeah, you see, I hate bullshit. I hate bullshit. And you just don't know what is the truth and what you're reading and you know, the full... You don't actually know the full story. No. And sometimes you're looking on social media and your life is shit. Or you're just feeling really crap. And the last thing you want to do is read, oh, look at me, I'm amazing and this is happening and reading all these... Hashtag, and...
Hashtag making memories.
Yeah, and you know what? They might be in that place, but sometimes it's just not
they're probably
for
not.
you, and it's nothing personal or attack on anybody else, but it's just you. So I had to take a step back, and now I think I feel like I'm a stronger person now because I know who I am, and I mean I still talk a lot of crap and waffle
especially
on.
in Morrison's.
Yeah, especially in Morrison's. Yeah, unexpected item in the bagging area. We're all normal people. We just all have shit going on in our lives. And sometimes some people just need to stop and think about what is happening in the other person's life. And there might be reasons why that person is being that way. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And there might be reasons why people shout at that stupid woman at the checkout. Yeah. When actually... she's going through shit of her own. And next time you tell me to put my item in the bag again, even though I've already done it 3 bloody times.
Please take that that big sausage out of your bag. Please. Yeah, I'd love to do that. I'd absolutely love to do that. That would be great. I'd love to do it spontaneous to people. That would be amazing. I didn't actually know it had gone live. When I recorded it as a test, and they were never meant to go live in all the supermarkets.
Right.
And it was actually my husband, Mark. He used to work at Sky at the time, and there was Morrison's around the corner, and he has this thing for pork pies. And I always was like, no, you can't get that fattening and, put on weight. So he would always sneak while he's at work. Yeah. He would always go out like during his lunch hour and he would get his pork pies. And he was there and he went to the self-service checkout and the voice came, and he was like, oh my God, that's Posy. That's my wife. Shit. She can see what I'm doing. She can see what I'm buying. Pork pie. And he actually rang me and went, I've just had you on the machine. Is that you? And I went, oh yeah, I did a test, but it wasn't meant to be live. So yeah, and then lo and behold, so that's how I found out that it had actually gone all live and they'd, officially started using my voice. Yeah. Mark,
because your husband defied
Mark and
you.
pork pies, yeah. So I caught him out on pork pies.
See, most people catch their husbands having affairs. You caught your husband buying quite legitimately a pork pie from Morrison's. And still managed to freak him out, so well done. He'll probably never have an affair now.
I'm everywhere.
What else is she going to do?
He was like, oh my God, I can't escape the woman. Yeah. I can't even go to the supermarket and have a pork pie. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Thank you for shopping at Morrison's.
You've been listening to Tales from the Tannoy with Elinor Hamilton and Posy Brewer, with music from Beats Bakery. This podcast was produced by Carl Svensson of Tadar Media.